Lascan. Well, as the Minister knows, there's been a lot of criticism. We've had two major debates, I think, about PPPs in this House, and our Parliamentary Budget Office, of course, has carried out a study, the overview of PPPs in Ireland, and which asked that we would address the pretty opaque nature and the lack of transparency in the whole area of PPPs, and that because the difficulty of measuring true value for money down to the 2040s or 2060s, and made some specific proposals in relation to water contracts and indeed in relation to the multi-annual budget. Capital budget, sorry.
So, Deputy, this week now, we have now taken steps to looking at how we can increase the information that's available in relation to PPPs. My department has now published two separate sets of financial data. The data can be accessed on the www.ppp.gov.ie website. The first set of data provides an update on the existing financial commitments table. It contains detailed information in relation to all projects for which contracts have been signed or which are either operational or being built. Information is broken out by individual project on the type of PP project being used, the operational date of the project, the capital contract value of the project, the unitary payments made to the end of 2017, the projected payments for each project, other costs, the total cost of the project, and then the final year of the project. This is a very considerable amount of additional information. And what we will also be doing, Deputy, is, and I'd ask you to note that the published data will provide an indicative information in relation to PPP projects, which is based on information provided to my department by the relevant departments or agencies. The Central PPP Policy Unit in my department endeavours to ensure that the information is as accurate as possible, but any queries in relation to the details of specific projects should be confirmed directly with state authorities responsible for the projects. In relation to what the total cost is at the moment, the estimated expenditure on unitary payments will amount to €1.2 billion up to 2021. This represents 4% of our total application. In relation to water, Irish Water has statutory responsibility for these water services planning, the delivery and the operation at national level, and this includes taking on responsibility for water-related PPPs from local authorities.
Thanks, Minister. I welcome the point you make in relation to greater transparency or greater information, but I think you were to publish a major review of PPPs going back over the last couple of decades and into the future, and I don't know if your department has actually done that yet. You mentioned the Central Expenditure Evaluation Unit. Clearly that has a very key role, along with the National Development Finance Agency, in evaluating PPPs, but there still seems to be an opaque nature to when you actually look at the multi-annual capital framework in relation to the spending of each department. That seems to be still needs, I think, clarification on how PPPs are performing, and in particular, obviously, in relation to water supply and drainage, with the way money is drawn down and the way the projects move forward. And then we have the major, the River Shannon water supply project, we have the Ringsend project, and so on. And we have a lot of treatment, and I know Minister Moran has been doing a lot of work in that area, a lot of treatment plans and flood relief schemes and so on. But again, it seems hard to disaggregate the PPP structure. And as I said, we've had major criticism. We had the CNAG's report of 2011 when your government started, which is very critical, and we also have had bodies like ESRI being equally critical over the years.
So in relation to the different points the Deputy's raised to me, number one, in relation to the challenges of disaggregating the data, this is why we have now provided the information project by project, department by department. I believe in the past that too much information was not made available in relation to PPPs under the auspices of the claim of commercial sensitivity. And I believe we can get a better balance. I believe there's much information that we can share that does not undermine the ability of the state to get good value in the future and respects the contractual obligations that we have to people involved in delivering projects. And I've believed this since I've been a member of the Public Accounts Committee, and that's one of the reasons why we publish this data, Deputy, because I think you, as a member of the House, are entitled to know as much as we can make available to you on certain projects. In relation to the report on PPPs, I have that report at the moment, Deputy. I'd anticipate publishing it soon. In relation to water, your final point there, to make the point, now that Irish Water has been brought fully onto the balance sheet of the Exchequer, virtually all of the capital projects they're now involved in are no longer classed as PPPs.
Can I get the final question?
That we will get fuller information. The point you make about commercial sensitivity and so on, it was always, I think, spurious reasons why, this is the people's money we're spending. It's a mortgage for the people. I noticed some of the projects gone down to the 2060s. But just in relation to, there is the 10%, in the spending framework, the investment policy framework, isn't there the 10% rule in relation to the capital budgets of each department? Is that something that, it's very important that it would be kept? In other words, that we need to carry out major capital investment projects in water and housing, in education and health all across the country, and yet in many departments our ministers could be, and the government is constrained because of an ever-growing unitary payment bill in relation to existing PPPs. And as I said, a lot of criticism in both here and the UK. The leader of the opposition in the UK says, for example, there will be no more public finance initiatives because of the performance of Carillion and various others. So is it time that we began to look, given the fact that you can be expecting some kind of, a reasonable surplus in revenue over this calendar year, that we go back to funding the major kind of works like that Deputy Moran and other ministers are carrying out? We just do it ourselves. Thanks, Karen.
The vast majority of works actually that Deputy Moran that Minister Moran is delivering are actually fully funded by the Exchequer. Because it is appropriate that that be the case, but also because many of the different projects that Minister Moran is looking to deliver are of the scale where a PPP model isn't appropriate for them, and it's better that it be better and indeed can only be funded by the Exchequer. In relation to your other point there about are we squeezing out other capital commitments because of the value of unitary payments that we are committed to, it is fair to say that the value of unitary commitments that we have coming up is significant. So on average now it will be around €410 million per annum, for example, between 2024 and 2035. However, it is not at this point squeezing out other capital investment, and the reason for that is the increase in capital investment that forms part of the Ireland 2040 plan. As I said earlier on, we're increasing capital investment next year alone by a quarter. And in relation to future projects, my attitude is very clear on them, that we should decide if we're going to do PPPs on a case-by-case basis. In relation to the unitary payments that I touched on, we need to take account that in many cases that's paying for the maintenance of projects that we have built. And we should decide if PPPs are appropriate on the basis of what the project is, not on the basis of a broader policy than that.
Move on to questions.